Sunbelt Syndicate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sunbelt Syndicate, the OG edition. And TJ was with some OGs of App State's 2005 first national championship team this past weekend. TJ, tell us a little bit about really just your whole weekend and kind of wrap it up for the people that, you know, maybe you're not App State fans, but at least interested in some championship football.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, we had a great time. It's always too. I mean, right, getting together with your old guys and talking about the good old days, reminiscing, right? We don't get those days back. It was hard to believe that it's been 20 years, but it was incredible. They honored Richie at the 50-yard line at the beginning of the game. And then first break in the first quarter, the whole team got to come out and we waved to the fans and played a couple clips of us. And that's what, you guys saw. The backstage stuff is what is the most fun. I mean, just, reminiscing about just where we were when something happened and just talking to each other about, what we're doing in each other's lives and what's going on, our wives meeting each other, kids meeting each other, and talking the whole football, right? Just talking ball and getting back together. And also, too, it certainly helped that the game was the way it was. Right. I mean, it came all the way down to the wire against Marshall and ended up being a fun game to be at and watch and, talk about, especially considering how the season's gone. So it was, really a bright spot on the season, but more so a bright spot for us as a former team. And it was really good to see those guys again. And who knows how long it'll be before we see them again. So it was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah. How weird is it when you see friends that you've known for a long time and, probably kept in touch with most of them, at least fairly decent. And then you have a kid and they have a kid and these kids are like, I don't know how my dad knows these guys that way. It's probably just very strange to your son.
Well, yes and no, right? Because sure, they're like, we don't know each other and all of this. And then we get out the tailgate and like all the kids are playing football, like in the parking lot. And so they don't, because they don't care. Like they don't know. Richie's kids doesn't know how good Richie was, right? My son doesn't really know how good I was. And a lot of these guys are the same way. They just know us as dad, right? And so he's just one of dad's friends. Like, I don't care that he played football, right? He's just one of my dad's friends. And he has a son who has a football. Let's go throw that. So, that's the cool part about it is like we don't have to go down this whole rabbit hole of introducing each other and how we know each other and what this person did on this day. It's just let's get together, let's hang out and let's fellowship. So it was fun, man. It was great.
Nice. I'm glad that they treated you like you should have been treated and got to see, like you said, a pretty electric game when it's all said and done. I know Marshall fans don't like the ending, but I think even between two teams that aren't great this year, like you said, we had a really entertaining football game, though, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been saying this for, I think, the past maybe 2 or 3 years now. Sometimes when you get two teams that aren't really good, you get yourself a good game, right? And so that's what it was. And again, it was almost poetic in terms of the ending of the game and also blocking a field goal with Corey Lynch sitting right beside me. He's wise. I'm like, that's your thing. I turned and looked at Corey. I'm like, hey, we're doing it again. It's just one of those. It's just kind of, and then the end of the game, all the guys are standing up. We're upstairs, obviously on top of the old field house, and we're all looking down at the game. Leonard, he's got to drive back to Charlotte, and he's been trying to leave for 20 minutes, and he can't leave because the game is good. And it's just like, I mean, those are the things. Those are times that you don't get back. So it was awesome. It really was
nice, and getting to spend time with Jerry Moore again.
Man.
Meaningful as he is.
He's sharp as a tack, man. I'm telling you, this guy, he knows what he's doing. So he's it was funny because like after we weren't supposed to go upstairs at all, like none of us were. We were just all supposed to sit in our seats and enjoy the game, which is fine. I mean, that's good enough. They got us on like the first and second rows, so it was fine. After we all come off the field, we're walking with Jerry, and he's like, "All right, let's all go upstairs. Everybody go upstairs." So we're like walking around. Are you sure? He's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure." And one of the guys looked at me. He's like, "You think they're going to tell Jerry Jones no? Or I'm sorry, Jerry Moore no if he wants to take people upstairs?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, you got a good point." So that's how we got upstairs. We just all piled in and took it on upstairs and enjoyed ourselves some more.
Nice. And his name carries some weight for the one or two guys you had to go back and grab, I think is what you said.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, man. Chad is saying that football is stupid.
Sometimes I agree.
as a Southern Miss fan, the ending of the season not going the way he thought it would. But Ben is talking a little smack, but respectfully, saying that he hopes A-State whoops up on the Mountaineers, respectfully, of course. And he just hopes that they want that 6 win more than App State does. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be a good game. We're going to talk about that one here in a minute. And he says happy Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Ben.
Same to you, brother.
And let's see, I can actually grab this and share this to the screen yet, but here we go. Week 14 is going to be the last one. It is the finale. I could have put that on the graphic, but I didn't. A swan song. The graphic features Brad Jackson, the quarterback from Texas State. As we know, this will be the last game for Texas State as a Sun Belt. I guess technically if they make a bowl game, they will be making a bowl game as a Sun Belt member. But this is the last game in conference play for Texas State, and we'll see if they have any more games after this. So thought I'd throw a little shout out to Artie Cat and our other Texas State fans, if we have any, that are watching or listening. But yeah, that's kind of interesting here. So we'll see what happens and transpires with that game. We'll get to that here in just a minute. The playbook for tonight. Again, we went through the Bourbon and Ball show, which was really, really fun. If you're a fan of drinking at all, but specifically bourbon and whiskey to some extent, go back and check that show out. It was completely off the rails as far as any preview is concerned. We pretty much didn't talk about any game real specifically. I guess the good thing about having Dave from Locked On, he mentioned a few things and we went back and forth a little bit about some specifics going into the weekend, but it was mainly about a program in the school, mostly about football. So that's where we paired the bourbons up with the school. So if you missed that one, definitely go check that out. Might be a good Thanksgiving weekend list, honestly, because like I said, it doesn't have to do with the week that was. So it's bigger than that. We had a little fun with it. We may have talked some junk on your favorite team. Yeah, it's all in good fun, right? Tonight, we're going to be going through the teams that are looking good going into the final weekend. Come on, bro. TJ's favorite segment. We'll talk about some of the teams that didn't look so good last week and need to step it up. The games of the week for the final week of the regular season. The teams where we're saying, you better win. By the way, that one is chock full of games this week.
I was getting ready to say that category should be filled.
Yeah, and in fact, to be honest with you, I actually didn't take this out, but rounding it out is completely gone. I have everybody in either games of the week or you better win. There's really nobody.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot riding on this for most every team. I'm looking at the schedule for this week, and almost every team, Texas State needs to win. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot. I mean, I just kept going, no, someone has to win there. Someone needs to win. So you're right. Rounding out. Gone. I didn't take it off this graphic, but it is gone. We're going to go through best bets and most importantly, and more specifically, the return of TJ's clip breakdown. So I think we'll probably jump right into that. First off, luckily, YouTube TV and ESPN came to an agreement, and now we can get back to showing you some clips. But let's see. I need to get this one going and ready. The first one is going to be from Coastal Carolina and South Carolina game. And it is going to be a blocked punt. Let me see if I can get this full screen for us here. Now, unfortunately, this was supposed to be a lot more of a game. Samari Collier got hurt, and now Tad Hudson was quarterback. We knew the likelihood that South Carolina would win this game was going to be high once we heard that news. I did not think it was going to be this ugly. However, the play we're going to talk about is a blocked punt here. Thinking the name of the player who blocked the punt. I have it in a Jamison Tucker is going to be who blocks this punt for Coastal Carolina. He's going to be number 8 on your screen. That's the returner there, number 4. He's down here. He's at the end of the line. Now he's the second one in, TJ. And we'll watch this full speed. Really doesn't get touched here.
Yeah. I was going to say it's one of those situations where it's an obvious blow up. Like somebody did something wrong. There's no reason for number 2. Well, first of all, the end man on the line of scrimmage for South Carolina should always take, the most immediate inside threat, right? So if you roll it and roll it in slow motion, there is, to my knowledge, there isn't any immediate inside threat, right? So when there's no immediate inside threat, again, when I say inside threat, I mean a threat to a rush, right? So if you bring it back real quick, the guy in front of him is looking to block. He's not rushing, right? So if that's the case, then my eyes immediately go away from the guy in front of me and goes to next immediate threat. Next immediate threat is going to be the second guy on the line of scrimmage. What happens is, because the end man on the line of scrimmage for Coastal goes to try and block the punt, the personal protector has to come up and make that block, right? So boom, here he goes. He has to make a choice. Now, again, you could blame the personal protector, because there could be a situation where if that is the lineup, then the personal protector then has to step inside and pick up, again, most immediate inside threat. So either that end man on the line of scrimmage, which looks like to be a tight end, or that fullback or personal protector, somebody missed their assignment, and that's what made that hole so wide open. It's kind of it. Speaking of blocks, talking about the App State game, very reminiscent of the miscue that Michigan had against Corey Lidge. Very similar. He was number 2 man on the end of the line of scrimmage, and out block happened. He came inside of that shoulder and was able to block that kick. So it's same deal here. Not fundamentally sound football by South Carolina, although it didn't really matter at this point. However, assignments are assignments, and it's teach tape.
Yeah, like you said, probably a little. That personal protector looked like he just kind of mailed it in to me. Like just kind of was like, I'm just gonna go straight. If nothing's coming at me, whatever. So interesting. Again, why you don't let up? I mean, it could have had a goose egg on the board if they paid a little bit better attention, but not to be for them. Okay. That was just something we hadn't seen much, block punt, right? So I wanted to show that one, even in a bad ending for Coastal Carolina in that one. Here is one that was talked about quite frequently throughout the week, right? This one was from the Louisiana versus Arkansas State game. This is the last play of the game. The ball gets put in Jalen Rayner's hands. He tries to scramble for it. Looks like they did try and give him some options, TJ. We'll run through this full speed first, and then we'll slow it down and let you assess, from a former quarterback, running back, and wide receiver, kind of what you think about the play call itself and how it transpired on the field there.
Yeah, so, you've got 2nd and goal, but you've only got 3 seconds left. So you got time for a single play. Now, the issue that I have with this play call is you're not giving your quarterback enough of an opportunity, right? What I mean by that is I don't want there to be a tight end on the end, or a trip situation to the strong side of the field or wide side of the field, and then my quarterback who can run and pass given only the option, it looks like, to run the ball. Because at this point, you've got linemen that are essentially in the end zone or past a yard past the line of scrimmage, which means he can't throw that ball anymore because that's illegal man downfield, right? So it's obviously an option play without the option to throw the ball. So I think you kind of cut your options, so to speak, without sounding redundant, in half by calling a play like that. Again, it's probably been successful for them in the past, and it's probably a play that has worked. It's just not something that I would call. You need your best 2-point conversion play to be run right here. And for me, my opinion, I want my quarterback to have an option to run or throw. And this gives him essentially only one option, right? And also, too, if you bring it back to the beginning, there's man coverage. They're locked up across the board. So what does that mean? If there's man coverage locked up across the board, that means they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hats that are dedicated to the run, right? The picture, the odds aren't in your favor. Why would you? Don't call this play. And if I don't know if Jalen Raynor has the option to audible out of it, but if he does, he certainly should. Look at the box. The box is run heavy. Don't run this play.
Yeah.
Find your best one-on-one matchup. I'd almost feel better with them throwing it to the short side of the field and letting the receiver go up and get it. You're giving them exactly what they want. They set up in a run-look defense, and you gave them a run play. I mean, yeah, they're supposed to stop it. That's what happens. They get scholarships too.
Yeah, you also have Corey Rucker on your side of the ball who can go up and grab just about anything higher than anybody else on the defensive side of the ball. I was shocked they didn't give, like you said, more of a look to him or give him some type of better route to run here. Either like just get him out and throw it up to the corner. I don't know. Maybe that's not a high percentage play in that situation, but yeah.
Well, it is if you trust your receiver. It absolutely is. Or it's one-on-one on the backside with no linebacker help. Everybody's locked up. Throw the slant. Yeah. I mean, look at it. Look at him. You could throw the slant to literally either any receiver on this field right now can run a slant route. This is man coverage, but it's not press man. Just beat him.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. You're not giving your team a shot. And it's obvious run. Look at the receivers blocking. Not a good play call. Not a good play call at all. Unless you have Armani Edwards, it's not a good play call.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is, in the end here, you're going to watch, let's see which number it ends up being, 93, I think. He's going to be right here. He's going to stand up, and then the ball's actually going to end up right there in his hands, which means that it was in the end zone, which some Arkansas State fans wanted to say that ball – was in there with possession to score a touchdown. However, let's take a look back at this. To me, it looks like Raynor's down before the ball likely comes out.
He's absolutely short. He's short by a half yard.
Yeah. I mean, I just think he's down. Like, the ball may have come out before his hand hits the ground, but I think like his knee was likely down. If we look at this, watch just Raynor with the ball here. He gets turned backwards after kind of extending the ball forward. So his momentum stopped. He's going backwards. It looks like he's down there.
Yeah, he's absolutely. It's not even close.
That's what I was thinking. I just think the referees did a poor job because they never blew this whistle until he was essentially down a second time. Whoever has the ball here in this massive humanity of people. But yeah, kind of an ugly finish with some regards. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think they should have blown it dead as soon as he went down. And if you review it and it's obvious that he wasn't down, and then they end up in the end zone, then you've got something there. But I think that the thing that made the most sense was to call him down, and then you see if you're wrong, because it looked like he was pretty obviously down to me there in that one. But yeah, not sure why they decided to do that, but that is how that game ended, and there's nothing anybody can do about it now. Going into the standings look before we go along any further. Ben saying maybe the refs couldn't tell if he was down or not. And I understand sometimes now with the replay, you want to let something play out before you blow the whistle.
Sure.
But kind of like I was saying, like he's extended the ball as far as he can extend it. He's now been turned around backwards to be tackled. He may not be physically down, but his forward momentum was stopped.
Right. And that's a dead ball.
Yeah. And apparently the rule, and TJ, I don't even know if you know this, or most players probably don't know this necessarily. What I've heard or read is that if it was a fourth down play, if he fumbled, no matter whether he did it on purpose or just because he got hit, it would not be able to be advanced. So that would have called down. Now, that wasn't a fourth down play. It was second, as you mentioned. So they could have advanced the ball. But it's just kind of one of those weird things that it was so much going on in that one. But anyway, it looks like to me, they got the call correct. The play wasn't going to score, and it didn't. So now we have a couple of teams who are sitting just on the outside looking in. To mention JMU, obvious host of the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. They are waiting the west side, and this kind of doesn't get any better than this. How it plans out is with the schedule is Southern Miss and Troy tied with the exact same record going head to head in the last week of the season. So I'm looking forward to finding out who JMU plays, right, TJ?
Yeah, absolutely. Winner take all situation. You want the best playing the best, and that's what we've got. So strap in because it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, and then we'll go through it, but there are quite a few teams who are playing for bowl eligibility. As you can see here, there are five-win teams. No, I'm sorry, there's 6 5-win teams. That's crazy. We have, I think, 5 currently in bowls. In fact, let's jump over to that now, 2. Bowl bound. This is the list. Some of them are obvious. James Madison, Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, ODU, and Troy. So they have all qualified for bowl games already. I would assume that all of those teams will certainly get bowls. Some of these other teams that qualify may find themselves with the hard thing to swallow, which is having 6 wins and there's too many teams. We'll see. That is not confirmed there yet, but we will have to figure out if that's what's going to happen. Now, these are the teams that you have to question if they're going to go bowling. And I've paired these up a little bit here, TJ. Hopefully it makes some sense to all of us. But Georgia Southern goes head-to-head with Marshall. Arkansas State goes head-to-head with App State. So of those 4 teams, only 2 will be assured a 6-win season and a chance to go bowling. The Cajuns and Texas State, all they got to do is win, and they're both at 6 wins, possibly going bowling. They're not keeping out their opponent. So those 2 teams just have to win and get to those 6 wins. These other 2 are got a lot at stake because the other team wants it just as bad as they do. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires there, and we'll get into those specifically here in a minute. Looking good, besides the 2005 national champions this past weekend, it looked like Colton Joseph had one hell of a game in the air and on the ground as they ran all over their opponent, which was, I'm going blank now, Georgia Southern. There we go.
Georgia Southern, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the teams go, ODU also looks good in a long distance respect because they are on a 4-game win streak, and over their last 3 games have only allowed a total of 16 points. One of those was the goose egg to Troy. But, I mean, TJ, we've talked about their offense, but their defense seems to be coming on strong here towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're not letting anybody run the football. And I think when you get down to this time of year when it starts to get cold, even though it's not necessarily terribly cold yet, when you get to this time of year, 2 things travel really well: run game and defense. And when teams can't run the football, those hands by those wide receivers get really cold. And that's where JMU is really succeeding at. So they're doing a great job stopping the run. And I think that is boding well for them in terms of why they're winning the way that they are.
Yeah. JMU winning those 9 straight games. They have not lost since early September, that Louisville game when they were running that 2-quarterback set. Of note, they also only have 2 one-score games all season. So you've got, and we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more towards the end of the show, and we've got maybe more time, but the CFP picture, Tulane, North Texas, they want to have a conversation about who's the best group of 5. We favor JMU. I think that's probably obvious with what our name is. We're going to favor the Sun Belt team. But to me, they haven't been, having trouble beating a lot of the teams in their worst game that they've played. I actually don't think Louisville, even though it was a loss, was their worst game, right? I think they actually played well in that. It was a weird 2-quarterback system, but otherwise I think they played well in that game. They did not play well against Georgia State, had a lot of mistakes, couldn't get it ball into the end zone. Unlike Tulane and North Texas, who got beat by 20-plus points against their opponents, right. JMU still found a way to win a game by a touchdown, a whole touchdown. They didn't even struggle to, hit a last-second field goal to win it. They still won by a whole score, and they've only been in 2 close games otherwise throughout the season. So, I don't know. I mean, quick thoughts on JMU, CFP picture, just how they're playing right now in general?
Yeah, I think it's criminal, man. I think the way that they're being looked at or not looked at in this case, it's almost like NCAA has a bias towards JMU, and I don't know why, right? Like, I don't get it. Or maybe it's not JMU. Maybe it's just somebody. Who knows? I don't know what it is specifically. Right. There's no reason that JMU shouldn't be the top G5 team. there's not any reason for it. So I need to know the rationale. I need to know why they picked the way that they did, because maybe that'll give me some insight. But I got nothing. I've got nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I know that they're saying they're favoring strength of schedule, and I get that to some extent. But look, you're favoring Tulane, who got beat soundly by Ole Miss. So I mean, the strength of schedule there, when you get trounced, I don't think that should count positively towards you. Like you scheduled the game. So wait, we're rewarding teams for scheduling a game they get blown out in. That's not, to me, that doesn't make sense. Then they beat Duke and Northwestern.
Right.
Why are we rewarding beating Duke and Northwestern, which a lot of other group of 5 or group of 6 teams could do? I'm not saying they all would, right? But there's a lot of other teams that could beat those teams.
Yeah, it's a good chance that they'd be beaten pretty soundly by a lot of the teams in our league, so to speak.
Right. So that's why I have a hard time with it. I understand from the outside looking in, 3 power opponents. Great. If you look at James Madison's schedule, I'm going to bring it up for a split second because this is kind of the crazy aspect of it. They're rewarding Tulane for scheduling tough, right? But if you look back at James Madison's schedule, they have Louisville, who, ended up being pretty good. They had Liberty, who was a good team when the game was scheduled. Okay. Mm-hmm. You had a couple other teams, App State had been good, right? Washington State was a good team. So they scheduled 4 tough games as best as they could before the season got going years in advance. And then it just doesn't work out. Washington State, not very good record-wise. I think they're still a talented team, right?
I was going to say, they've got some guys on that team. Let's give them some credit. They just play in a league where other teams have guys as well. Yeah.
And to note, people say, oh, well, North Texas crushed Washington State and James Madison only beat them by 4. If you're going to say that, which, okay, that's an argument. That's a point you can make. Valid. But let's also look at Washington State only losing to Ole Miss by 3.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, they lost by more than they lost to JMU. Am I getting that? Am I saying that correctly? JMU beat Washington State by more than Ole Miss or Virginia did. There. I'll say it like that. That way I can keep it straight. So JMU had a 4-point victory. Ole Miss had a 3-point victory, and I think Virginia had a 2-point victory over Washington State. So, what does that mean? That means James Madison's better than Ole Miss and Virginia? Well, I mean, if you're going to make the other argument, North Texas is that much better than James Madison because they hammered Washington State. You can't change the metrics, right? Like if you're going to say you're going to use one, just use it and keep it consistent.
Don't move the goalposts.
Right. And that seems like what they're doing there. I don't know if I put Ben's comment up there, but he says it's because the CFP chairs Arkansas's AD and no Hogs fans like him, which is funny. But is he the one that did the 6-7 joke that was terrible? I mean, just awful.
I have no idea. I didn't see it.
You didn't see it? Oh, Reese Davis asked him, I think it's Juracek, which is, Juracek's got a son that's on the App State coaching staff. But I believe it was Reese Davis asking him what the thought process is if Ole Miss ends up losing Kiffin as head coach. Like, where would you rank them? And he goes, There's like this long, weird pause. And then he's like, 6, 7. And then he's like, huh. And then Reese Davis has no choice but to be like, huh. But like, it was just like a quick, like, it wasn't actually all that funny, dude. It was an old guy delivering it with no, nothing. Right? He's just terrible. Anyway, it was very dry, and everybody was like, dude, don't do that. And obviously JMU fans are going to have a time with that because it just looks unprofessional at that point too. But I get it, right? Like, he's trying to be funny, but it just didn't work. Did not work at all. All right, come on, bro. TJ's favorite section here. We've got Coastal walking away. This is a precursor to what's to come as Georgia Southern defenders on the ground there. I know Ben alluded to thinking Arkansas State would be on here. I didn't punish them, right? That was a play in the final play of the game where they lost. I'm not really going to punish you for that. It was a toss up at that point. But some games that didn't go so well, TJ. Georgia Southern gets hammered on senior night in Statesboro by ODU 45-10.
Yeah, listen, ODU is good. 45-10 is insane, especially in conference. I mean, come on, bro. What are you doing? This is not – it's not like you've never seen this team play before or you don't know who they have. Now, granted, they've got some athletes. They've got some guys. That quarterback is a stud. We'll talk about him probably a little bit later on. He's an absolute stud. How 45, though? I mean, you quit. You gave up. You did not play football. Come on.
Yeah, that's just – I mean, I did not expect Georgia Southern to win that game. Okay.
No.
ODU's a better team. But that kind of a final score was shocking to me. And then on the other side of the graphic here, the same thing with Coastal Carolina. Did I expect Coastal Carolina to go into South Carolina and win after losing their best quarterback and what South Carolina had just almost done to Texas A&M the week prior? No, I didn't expect Coastal to win. But 51-7?
Well, and so to your point, again, no one should have expected them to win. That said, South Carolina has played some really great football this year in spurts, right? Like they've played, I think they played Alabama pretty tough. I think they almost somebody else they almost beat. I've got to go back and take a look at. Actually, let me pull it up while I'm here. Let's see.
Yeah, we do have to remember that a bad SEC team still could be a pretty good team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and they've, they played, Alabama, they lost 22-9, right? They lost 30-14 to Ole Miss, these are ranked football teams, that they've gone in and beaten, almost beaten. So, are they a good football team? No, but they played some really tough football all year. Again, Oklahoma only put up 24 on them, 26, Alabama 29, Ole Miss 30. These are top 10, top 15 ranked teams that they're losing to. Texas A&M, they had Texas A&M down 20-0 at halftime. Now they didn't finish, but 31-30, I'm not mad at that. So to your point, yes, come on, bro. Don't get beat by 50, 40-something points. But it is South Carolina, and they have played some good football in spurts. So I don't give them that much flack for it, but it's still a huge margin. It's still awful.
To note, South Carolina has 7 losses on the year. 6 of those teams were either ranked when they played them or are now ranked. Vanderbilt being the only team not ranked when they played them, but we obviously know where they're at now. So, yeah, that is – and they had 5 of those ranked teams in a row. So they didn't get any breaks.
Right.
That's a tough schedule. You want to talk about running to the CFP? If South Carolina had won all but 1 or 2 of these games, they'd be in the CFP picture right 100%. Now because that's how good that schedule is.
And they missed a lot of those games by less than a touchdown.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's not like they played bad football. So
Nope, definitely not. Lenore Sellers is one hell of a quarterback.
He is.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will wrap it up for everything we're going to talk about from last week. Now we're going to jump into the games of the week. And I do have 2 here listed because I couldn't leave off the battle for the Bayou. You can't leave it out, right? You just don't know what you're going to get. There's been many years where the Cajuns come in with this great record and, okay, we're going to kind of just coast to victory here over ULM because they've got 2-3 wins, whatever it is. And then ULM surprises. They don't always win it necessarily, but it seems to always come down to the wire. Wouldn't shock me to see that again this year. Little bit different circumstance, though, because it's more about the injuries and the suspensions that the Cajuns are having to fight against, not just the Warhawks on the other side of the ball here, TJ.
Yeah, and 2, for me, I think I don't want to say only thing, but one of the biggest things playing in ULM's favor, again, like you said, is the suspensions and injuries and those kinds of things. But Cajuns need a win to be bowl eligible, right? So there's a lot of pressure riding on them. ULM could ruin their season, right? I mean, and I'm sure they take some great pride in doing that. So, Cajuns, they've got a tall task, right? They've got some guys that are missing, some of their own will, some of them not. However, those things all being considered, Cajuns got to go out and show that they can go win a bowl game or at least be eligible for a bowl game. So it'll be good in that regard because it's an absolute must win for the Cajuns.
Yes, and were you reading the group chat before we came on here?
No, I had just gotten home from work.
Gotcha. Okay, so Seth from 3B and Marv and TJ and I are all in a group chat, and Seth said, "Did you guys see who ULM set to hire as their new AD?" This is not 100% gospel yet. It seems very likely. TJ, have you seen the movie The Blind Side?
I have seen the movie The Blind Side.
Do you remember the young child in that movie named SJ? SJ Tui. He was the kid who befriends Michael.
Michael Orr. Yeah. The little white kid.
Yes. The real life version, SJ Tui, is about to be the next AD at the ULM University.
How about that? That's crazy.
And this is not. It's not just based on name. He's done lots of stuff coming up in the ranks through athletics. It seems it's just kind of funny that a lot of people are going to have fun with this because it's a movie character, even though it's based on real world events to some extent. We know now it was kind of sensationalized as far as movies go.
Sure.
We all were hoping that it was more like the movie. It doesn't seem like that was really the case, as we know now with how Michael was treated by the family.
But listen to me, Sandra Bullock can do no wrong. So I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. Sandra Bullock, Anyway, we'll leave it.
Agreed. Oh, man. But yeah, that's just a nice little tidbit there that has nothing to do with the game and no factor on it at all, but just an interesting tidbit for those of you who might find that interesting or be wondering who they're going to hire, because there's no way Brian Vincent was going to be able to be an acting AD and head coach for much longer. Just not possible.
No, that can't happen.
No, it's just impossible this day and age. Okay, so that one is game 1 of games of the week. Game 2, just because it happens, the start time is later as I have it listed, is probably bigger and means more in the big scheme of the Sun Belt picture, because this game between Troy and Southern Miss is going to give JMU their matchup in Harrisonburg, Virginia in 1 week. Well, just over 1 week's time from today, because it's actually going to be a Friday night championship game instead of a Saturday one. But TJ, what do you expect to see with Troy and Southern Miss in this one?
Oh my God, I don't know, man. I really don't know what to expect. I mean, Braxton right now, he's on the tear. He's got 2,500, almost 2,600 passing yards on the season, 22 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. I expect him to be himself, right? I expect him to do what he's done. On the other side, they've got a running back in Meadows for Troy, who's approaching 600 yards on the season, has only 4 touchdowns, but has been very impactful. So the run game for Troy certainly works. I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't want to jinx anything. But I've got to go with Southern Miss to take it. If I had to choose, if you put a gun to my head, Southern Miss. Please don't put a gun to my head.
Yeah. Like you said, I like Tay Meadows. I really think he's kind of a utility knife. I think he was a little bit hotter at the beginning of the year than he is right now, but
sure,
in a good way for him and the team. Goose Crowder has come back for Troy, and that first game where he helped come back in ODU, we know that didn't go so well. But he probably wasn't 100% fully ready and into it as he should have been. I still believe he didn't start that game, if I can remember correctly. But he did come on strong in last week's victory. So it's hard because Braxton was the other way, right? Like Braxton was doubtful or questionable going into last week's game, did get the start, did go the whole game, but threw 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they still lost 42-35. So that was a game that was essentially a blowout. They didn't give up. They fought to the very end. I think kind of like you, TJ, though, like I want to put myself with how Braylon Braxton is playing at the end of that game going into this one.
But for sure.
Again, Crowder kind of did the same thing for Troy last week. Not quite as good as Braxton did, but unlike Braxton, I don't feel like Goose is going to be running the ball as much. Tucker Kilcrease for Troy was really the running quarterback for them. Goose is more of the pocket passer. So, man, it is really tough. I will tell you that this is the must-see game, right? Like, this is the one that if you can only choose one Sun Belt game all weekend, this is the one to choose. I think we're going to see one heck of a game. As much as they both can score the ball, though, I feel like this could be a low-scoring affair because – they're going to be trying to play the mistake-free, control the clock. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. TJ, you're a former player that's played in games like this. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the absolute opposite. This is one of the games you let it all hang out, right? Like you there's no takebacks. There's no, I want to save this play because I don't want it on game film there's none of that. This is win or go home, right? And so you don't have a choice but to let it all hang out, right? So, sure, you've got another game at the end of the season, but this is going to decide who is the West Division, so to speak. Well, I guess we're the only conference who still has divisions, but the West Division championship, you know what I mean? So, and lack of better terms, who, not assuming, JMU is obviously the team in the East, this is going to determine who plays them. So, I've been looking forward probably since maybe 3 weeks ago, a Southern Miss and JMU matchup, and I still think I'm going to get that.
I think I'd lean that way, but Troy's been, we've seen Troy play with, what's not a great Clemson team, but still a talented Clemson team.
Sure.
So, they have the ability. We'll see what transpires. Definitely don't miss that one. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central kickoff on ESPN Plus, and I do believe I have one of these mislabeled for games, but we'll see. You better do it. Have you been watching all the Chit skits, TJ?
I haven't seen the new ones, and only because I don't work from home right now, so I'm having literally to be at work, so I can't be on my phone as much as I'm used to doing. Hopefully that changes soon, but no, I haven't seen the new ones. But Chit is my guy.
There's some good ones. You go after this show's over. I want you to go check out the Thanksgiving Day ones because they are very good, very good.
The last one I saw was them going to corporate.
Oh man, okay. So you haven't even seen the Halloween special?
No, that's what I'm saying. I've been out of loop, man.
Yeah, you got to watch the Halloween special. The production quality for a TikTok or whatever, I know he's on multiple platforms. It's good stuff. Anybody who hasn't seen it, I think, what is his name? Jay Renshaw is actually the name. Chit is a character that he plays, and just hilarious. Go check it out. This is the perfect time over the next day or two when people are, a little bit slower with Thanksgiving and everything going on. Definitely go check those out. You can watch these with your family. Like, they're not dirty or crude. It's just hilarious.
Oh no. It's all clean fun.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the one I got wrong. So JMU and Coastal at the bottom here is actually an ESPN-U game. I did not change that from ESPN Plus. The rest of the slate for the entire Sun Belt is ESPN Plus. I got complacent and I did not check that one, but just wanted to make mention of that before we talk about these other games, and we'll get to the best bets that have to do with these games. But on a bigger picture here, Georgia Southern, Marshall, again, 2 5-win teams, both must win here in order to have a chance, likely chance, but still just a chance at postseason play. Marshall, hard-fought game, starting quarterback banged up, as you saw. Braxton or CDRW comes out of the game and is replaced by more of the running quarterback there for Marshall. We don't necessarily know exactly where he's at yet.
I was going to say, do we have a prognosis? Because that's going to determine which way I go. With who wins this football game? Because if everybody, all things considered, everybody being healthy, and not to cut you off, apologies.
No, you're good.
I'm taking Marshall based on the way that they played against App State and how tough they played. Now, granted, it is App State, but I will say this to a degree. Everybody gets up, whether App State's having a good year or not. Everybody gets up to come to Boone. They come. It's been a tough place to play, and I'm not saying that because I played there. I'm saying it because it's an actual fact. It's literally hard to breathe there. That's first thing. Second thing is, it's just a tough environment.
Like you said, tough to play. Just a note, that was a sellout game.
Yeah, absolutely was.
So, just going to make that note.
Yeah, it says about our fans, and it says a lot about the team, the respect that the program still has. That said, though, and health is going to determine which way I lean in this matchup. I don't guess we're going to learn tonight what the status is of their quarterback, but if he can go, my money's on the Herd.
I'm trying to just I'm like literally on Twitter right now seeing if there's been some proclamation made that he will or won't go, and I'm not seeing anything that says anything either direction.
Right.
So my best guess is that they'll probably list him as questionable, and I'm thinking he's going to go, right? Like this is he limped off the field, but almost like a jog limp, right? Like he put pressure on it a little bit. He just wasn't feeling great on it. It didn't look, could it be a sprained ankle or something? Yeah, it could. I mean, then you tape it up farther or something. I don't know, but I'm thinking that we see a Marshall victory here as well, especially at home, right? Like Georgia Southern traveling up there is going to be difficult for them. So I'm thinking along the lines of you, TJ. I think I can hear you, but I can't see you. Is that what happened?
Yeah, my screen went dark. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. You can jump out and jump back in and see if that fixes it again, and then I can start into the next game here with ODU and Georgia State while you do that. So we've got ODU who just hammered Georgia Southern 45-10. We've got a Georgia State team that's probably not as powerful as the Georgia Southern team that just got beaten soundly by ODU. So I'm going to favor greatly the Monarchs in this one. I don't really think that's going to be much of a surprise, especially this one's in Norfolk. So, Georgia State doesn't have the home crowd, if you want to call it that. We know that they struggle to have big crowds there, but still, regardless, they're not playing in the confines of home. They are traveling on the road for this last one. TJ, I was just going through the fact that I really don't see a close game here at all between ODU and Georgia State. I would assume you're thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, no, I don't see any chance for Georgia State. I mean, there's really isn't even one to talk about. ODU, especially the performance they just put up against Georgia Southern. I think this is a blowout. The question is, do they hang 50 again? That's the only question.
Yeah.
What's the over on them scoring 50 again?
I think we talked about this slightly on the wrap-up show with Marv, but TJ Finley did not dress out or show up on the sidelines at anywhere for Georgia State's last game, which leads many people to believe he's left the program, which I think was all but confirmed earlier this week as well. So Cameron Brown got the start, didn't do so great last week, got pulled. Christian Veyer, who was the one who, orchestrated the win against Vanderbilt last season, he came in and actually had a pretty good statistical day, all things considered. So I don't know. I guess Veyer may get the start in this one, but I still don't think and no, Ted Hurst did not go last week either. Is that a choice? Is he sitting out the rest of the year? Is it an injury? I don't know. So that, if they don't have the quality starting quarterback and they don't have their best wide receiver threat, they haven't had a running back who's, been sensational. I just don't see any way that ODU falters against a team like Georgia State.
No shot. No shot.
Yeah. All right. App State Mountaineers, Arkansas State Red Wolves, both have A's in the name, both battling for that 6th win to get to bowl eligibility. Both wanted these seasons to be better than they are. But who gets the victory? Who gets that 6th win here in this one, TJ?
It better be Appalachian State. It better be for a lot of reasons. Not just because, obviously the fun part is I went there. You and I are fans of there. Excuse me. But Dowell Loggins has got a lot of pressure on him, man. This is not been a good year. Obviously, they're going to give him a shot. They're going to show him some grace, give him an opportunity to recruit his guys, and go into portal and get guys that he wants to play there, and do all those things, which is great, and they should. But ultimately, it has been a very underwhelming season in Boone, and you're talking to a fan base, quite honestly, that's spoiled. We expect to win because we have won. Again, we talked about it a couple weeks back. First losing season since 2005, right? Like we don't lose. And so, yeah, Butch Jones does have a lot of pressure on him as well. I'm not going to understate that. But I can't tell you, this isn't speculation. This is being in the field house. This is having conversations. This is knowing individuals within the program. I will not give names, and we won't get into detail about the conversations that were had. But he needs to make a bowl game. I'm not saying his job depends on it. Certainly don't misquote me there. But it will go a long way into the perception of what he looks like moving forward. And that's, again, not speculation.
Interesting stuff there. Also interesting, Ben says A-State hasn't won in Boone since 2015. And you have to take that with a little bit of grain of salt, right? Like, they don't play there every year. So this isn't like, oh, it's this many straight years, right? They probably played 2 or 3 times since 2015. And
now that Ben said it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Ben. Thanks a lot, man. Oh man, I do think, as much as I'd like to see, like you said, our favorite team take the victory here, this to me is a toss-up. I can't count out Jalen Rayner. I can't count out the Red Wolves, who have made almost every single game they've played and come down to the wire, having won a good amount of them as well. So, I don't have ton of confidence either way, but this is one that for obvious reasons we're going to keep our eyes on. But I think if you just want an entertaining game, as you said before, TJ, maybe not the greatest teams, but I think you're going to get great football here. Something very entertaining. So
100%.
This one is one that I'd recommend for sure. Yeah, Ben says I say it comes down to the last play as always. If A-State's involved, it almost always does come down to the last play, like you said, Ben. So I wouldn't doubt it at all. Honestly, wouldn't shock me to see an overtime game here. So maybe it's cold enough we get some snowy precipitation in Boone. Probably not. I haven't seen that in the forecast, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, South Alabama is the team that gets to say adieu to Texas State, and we'll see if they give them a nice little parting gift with a loss to keep them from bowl eligibility, or if Texas State can take advantage of this great offense that they have and keep things rolling with the win streak that they're also on to get that 6th win, leave the conference with gaining another bowl eligibility season before they head off to the Pac-12. What do you think in this one? I mean, South Alabama just won last week against Southern Miss, who is better than Texas State, but is this, the transitive property not computing, or do you think it might actually work out that way?
Yeah, transitive property not computing here. I got Texas State all the way. Don't think it's going to be particularly close. And by that, I mean like a touchdown or more. I'm not saying they're going to beat them by 50, but right. Certainly a touchdown or more. I think they win by. I think it's, it'll be one of those games that'll be decent up until midway through the 3rd quarter. And I think, Texas State will start asserting dominance. USA is not a very good football team, and they haven't been all year, to my surprise. But I think losing their starting quarterback and a lot of the guys that they've lost to the portal has certainly contributed to them not being a good football team. That said, though, I don't think they have and it is not that I believe so highly in Texas State. I just don't think they're good enough. So yeah, for me, I just think Texas State should go in and win, and I think that they will. Like I said, fairly comfortably, not by a million, but it'll be a pretty comfortable win.
Although, if their defense can hold, they could win by a lot, because I think they're going to put up 40+ points if Texas State offense doing what they do. I think this game looks a little bit how South Alabama ended against Southern Miss, right? Like Southern Miss was kind of having their way at the very end of that game, with Braylon Braxton throwing all over the place for a lot of touchdowns. Brad Jackson and this Texas State offense, Licken Perry, Bo Sparks, as Pat says on ESPN, the exciting whites of Texas State,
The exciting whites.
I think he used it for BYU, but it also fits for Texas State there with their trio of quarterback, running back, and wide receivers. So just a funny thing there. But, I mean, seriously, though, those guys have been putting up points all year long. Yes, they didn't get the results, but it hasn't been because they didn't score enough points. It's because the defense couldn't stop people. Yeah, I think they could put up plenty of points against South Alabama. Can South Alabama keep the pace? Like you said, TJ, I think they can't. Not the full way through. Is it a half decent game? Maybe. But I could also see Texas State winning very comfortably by 3 touchdowns or something in this one. It wouldn't shock me. Again, they're playing at home, too, to end this. It's not like they're on the road. If they were on the road in Mobile, probably a little different thought-wise for me. Okay, rounding it out of the you got to win these games is pretty obvious. JMU has to win everything out from here on out to have any shot at a CFP, which is obviously not likely with where they are on the outside looking in right now. But is Coastal anything more than a speed bump at this point with what we just saw out of them? I know you've got a best bet coming up to deal with this, but let us know your thoughts specifically on the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think JMU. I think Coastal. So I think I picked Coastal to against the spread. So I don't think they're going to lose by 21 or 22 points. What is it? 21 and a half, whatever it is.
21 and a half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they lose by 22 points. I don't think this, though, is relatively close. I think 2 scores minimum they win by JMU. And I think that's only because they probably take their foot off the gas. Or the other thing, too, and I thought about this when I got home, maybe it's a case where JMU does light it up and absolutely just goes ballistic and maybe score 60 because they have to have a good win for the college football committee. I don't know. I don't know which direction this goes. It could be one of those things where we're up by 30 or up by 20, going into the fourth quarter and they just call the dogs off because they want to conserve people. Or it could be we're up by 30, let's put 20 more on them to show CFP, who they're not letting in. So I think it could go either way. I'm giving respect to Coastal because I'm saying potentially not 22 points. But I could honestly see it going either way. I think I'm talking myself into a blowout, but I don't want to do that because I want to, it's a Sun Belt. Anything can happen.
True. But, I mean, it would shock me, I guess. This is one that would shock me if Coastal won. But if Coastal kept it within 2 scores, that wouldn't shock me. Like we've seen them surprise. We've seen them play well. The thing that would be more surprising to me right now is because they don't have that quarterback that gave them that kind of little magical run. So I wouldn't put the fact that JMU and South Carolina are light years apart. I really wouldn't. I think this game could be ugly. I think what I've heard, what I've seen is James Madison is going to bring a ton of fans down there to Myrtle Beach. I'm not sure Coastal is, right? Like they had that little run. It got really exciting there. But even with that run, people were telling me they still weren't quite filling up the stands or they're not staying the whole time. Well, JMU is going to bring the stands and they're going to stay the whole time because they ain't going to be leaving early if their teams win it. So with it essentially sounding like it might be a de facto home game for James Madison in some regards, I favor the Dukes greatly in this one. Like you said, I think it's going to be one of those, if we can put up 60 plus points, we're going to put up 60 plus points. Does that help you in the CFP picture? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Again, I don't think they're going to value beating Coastal Carolina, to be honest with you. But it's not going to look bad if you hammer somebody going into your championship week. So,
right. I agree.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But let's get into these best bets here. We got a lot of them this week. This is one where, we've had some weeks where we're light on some of these things, not feeling comfortable or confident. I made sure that anything that you weren't putting something on, I put something on. And there was one game here, the second one down, that I put 2 things on. I was maybe parlaying them. But start us off here. You've got Georgia Southern versus Marshall. Marshall favored by 8.5 points. You're taking Georgia Southern against the spread in this one. So not saying they win, but they cover the 8.5 points.
They've got to save their face, right? Like this is a get back game. And I don't think that they win it, but I certainly, it's not like Marshall's they're not a world beater, right? Like Marshall's a really good football team and they know that they need to win to get that 6th win, right? Like where's Marshall? What is Marshall? Yeah. Marshall's going to win it because they have to. For me, Georgia Southern is just going to want to keep it close because, quite frankly, they got embarrassed last week, and I don't think that they want a round 2 of that. So that was my thinking going into it. Maybe a touchdown, but I'm not saying much more than that.
Yeah, I'm favoring Marshall in that one. I think we talked about that. But for my bet, I'm going under the 64.5 points. We've seen what Georgia Southern can do. It hasn't been lighting up the scoreboard at all this year, right? I mean, they really haven't done that. Marshall has the ability to do that a little bit more. But I think what we saw out of Marshall last week against, be frank, an App State defense that hasn't been all that amazing this year, maybe coming into their own some. But I just don't see two teams that are going to combine for 64.5. So that's where I'm going on that one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't see them lighting up the scoreboard quite that much. In a game where I think they do light up the scoreboard, ODU and Georgia State, we both are taking ODU with the 26.5 point favorite. Is there any delay on that? Like, is there any kind of pause, or were you like, yeah, they're definitely covering the 26.5?
100%. I mashed it over. I mean, I'm I absolutely, like, I couldn't even, if I could have hit it hard with my elbow, I would have. Like, there's no reason for me ever to think that ODU won't absolutely obliterate Georgia State. It's going to get bad.
I agree with you. I just don't see this one close. And for that reason, I'm also taking the over because I think ODU could darn near hit the over all by themselves. So if
I was going to say,
State
if you're taking the over, then that means you're taking ODU to score 50.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, they just put up 45 on Georgia Southern. This Georgia State team.
I'm with you.
I feel comfortable. So, yeah, if you want to make some money, let's look at the parlay between ODU by 26.5 and the over of 58.5. All right, you take the next one. I did not put anything on this. Like I said, to me, this is a coin toss game as much as I don't want it to be. But Arkansas State, App State, spread favors App by 2.5.
Yeah, well, number one, I'm picking App State to win it because they have to. Well, both teams have to win, but it's in Boone, right? And you want to end on a good note. You want to go to a bowl game. Dal Loggins, he needs to have a good finale, right? It needs to be good for him to end this season. So in that, I'm saying field goal, 4 points, maybe 24-21, maybe 24-20, somewhere in that area. That's my thinking for the App minus 2.5. I think App covers and wins by at least 3, not 7, but certainly by at least 3.
Gotcha. I would like to see it, like I said, for obvious reasons, but I like your thought process there too. All right, one you didn't put anything on. I did. I know what I said earlier with ULM and the Cajuns always kind of coming down to the wire. You never know what you're going to get, but this year it feels a little different to me. I even with the injuries, even with the suspensions, I trust Lunch Winfield to get it done. Like we say, what do we say? We trust in Lunch. We trust Lunch.
And Lunch we trust. So yeah, absolutely.
I think Lunch could get them over the hump with the late touchdown, and then they add a field goal to seal it or something. So I think they could cover the 9.5 there. Fairly confident with them playing at home. If it was on the road, I don't know if I'd touch that 9.5. But at home, I'm going to take the 9.5 and take my chances there. Any thoughts on that one, or you just didn't feel confident?
I wasn't confident enough to. I certainly wasn't confident enough to take ULM by 10 points. Like it's absolutely not. I don't even know where you. That's ballsy to say the least. Excuse my language, listeners. But that is look. I wasn't touching it. And I certainly am not touching the over because these teams could go in and score 15 points apiece. And, or it could be a 17, 18, who knows? But that's bold.
Yeah. Hey, Lunch recently got an NIL deal with Lunchables. He got a personalized 1-of-1 Letterman's jacket with Lunchables on it. I can't go away from Lunch, man. He's the dude. I think he's going to get it done. And kind of go off here at his last game, ensure that him and the Cajuns go on to play in a bowl game. a lot of those guys that were suspended will be able to come back, for that type of situation. So that would be cool. Obviously, not having those guys end their season on the sideline, be able to get them back into a game and on the field. So I am kind of favoring it for that reason as well, probably. I am also favoring Texas State to get it done again by the 9.5-point spread against the Jags of South Alabama. Again, just like the game before this with the Cajuns, Texas State playing at home helps me feel a little bit more confident in that pick. Brad Jackson, the offense over there, putting up a lot of points. Can the defense just, give me that 10 points I need to beat the Jags? I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I'm not as confident. I did take Texas State to win. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Texas State also has enough high-powered of an offense to score 40. Yeah. But I also think USM could score 35. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know which way
USA
to go.
One, right?
All right, I'm USA. Sorry, not USA.
There's too many U's.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't know which direction to go on this, so I didn't go any direction. I stopped at the stop sign.
There you go. Well, one where you didn't stop at a stop sign, and now you can talk about USM. You took them to win by 6.5 points versus the Trojans.
Yeah, and listen, they're going to be it's games at home, right? Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking them at home to win by a touchdown. Troy's good, and they have been good last several weeks. I think USM needs to have better football playing, and I think this is the week they get it because a couple reasons, right? Like obviously, this game is going to determine who goes to the Sun Belt Championship. So I think USM started out being that team, and I think they want to finish the season that way. So that's who I'm riding with.
Nice. And then it looks like I cut off your thing. You're not taking Coastal to win straight up. Don't misread that. You are taking Coastal against the spread of the 21.5 points against JMU. But now, after we talked about the preview of the game, you're thinking maybe not.
Again, like I said, it could go either way. It could be one of those games where JMU's like, hey, we won, let's save ourselves for conference championship, and then the whatever bowl game we get, let's do that. Or, like I said, it could be one of those games where it's like, showing the CFP committee your backside and saying, hey, let's go put 70 on these guys and let's show them why we deserve to be in. I don't know where this goes, which direction this goes in.
Yeah. Before I give my pick for that game, Warren says without Troy getting turnovers, they do not win versus Southern Miss, which is a good point. I mean, you gotta have some luck on your side in games like this too. So that might be a factor in a game if it comes down to the wire, like some people expect it to. JMU Coastal Carolina, I took the over of 53.5, and again, just like the over I took with ODU, I think it might be JMU getting the vast majority of the way there. And if Coastal can just get, 2 touchdowns and a field goal or 2 touchdowns, it might just be enough to get over that 53.5 total. Because, again, we saw what James Madison did to App State. That was on home field. But if we're going to have a de facto Duke's home game down in Conway, I think they could put up 40-plus down there as well and get the job done. Like you said, maybe do whatever they can do to make that CFP committee think twice about what they've done. I don't know if it'll be enough to get them to where they want to be, but we'll have to see there. I guess any last thoughts on that CFP aspect, right? Like they're on the outside looking in because what they've done now is they've ranked Tulane, and the most likely American championship game is actually Tulane versus North Texas. Right. So even if JMU wins soundly against Troy or Southern Miss, doesn't matter, right? If North Texas beats Tulane, then they're going to have a ranked college football playoff win. They're probably going to leapfrog because of that. And if Tulane wins, obviously they're already ahead. So that's just you need craziness to ensue and have Tulane lose this week, and then somehow Tulane beat North Texas in the championship game. If that's even the championship game, there's still a lot of other.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of other factors and variables that can come out of it. I just think the disrespect for JMU has been astronomical. I hate it for them. And again, I'm not a JMU fan. I not grew up, but I guess essentially growing up in colleges, growing up, not liking them and thinking they're, not that great of a football team in terms of what they mean to us, right? Like just genuinely disliking them as a football team. But I do root for them, right, in terms of being in the Sun Belt Conference, and I do want them to do well. And I just think they're getting a raw deal.
Yeah. Looking at the matchups, and Navy's not out of it. They're 6-1 in the American. They play Memphis, so there could be a chance for them
that's
to get
tomorrow
night. Yes, you're right. Tomorrow night, 7:30 on ESPN. So if you're watching Turkey Day football, Navy Memphis may be a good choice because Navy's still got a lot to play for in that game. I believe. Let me just pull it up. I believe Tulane has the tiebreaker over them. I think that's their one loss in conference. I'm going to confirm that now. Oh no, North Texas has the tiebreaker over them. They are the only team that's beaten them in conference play. So North Texas, here's what JMU wants to see happen. Navy can do whatever because at this point they're kind of out of the equation because they're not ranked right up there near them. Could they leapfrog them? Possible. But let's just focus on the two teams ahead of them right now, or likely ahead and just behind.
Right.
Temple needs to beat North Texas because Tulane has Charlotte. Charlotte is a 1-10 team. There's no way in hell Charlotte is beating. I'd love to see it because I'd get a great laugh out of it. There's no way Charlotte's beating Tulane.
No.
So Tulane's going to move on with the win. You want North Texas to lose to Temple but somehow make the championship game and beat Tulane. Then you've got James Madison. As long as they don't falter. Now, I don't think they'll falter against Coastal Carolina, but could they lose to Troy or Southern Miss? They could.
100%. 100%.
Again, I don't know how likely it would be, but they could. I mean, that's a big game. That's going to be a lot of pressure on them to keep winning for as long as they have. But yeah, that's kind of their ticket in, is to have Temple. You're a Temple Owl fan if you're a James Madison fan this week. You're a Temple Owl fan, and then you become a North Texas fan again, as weird as that sounds, if they get there. Otherwise, if that makes North Texas out of it and Navy plays Tulane, I don't know what you're going to get because Navy beats Tulane, then Navy's probably in there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's that. Like I said, there's so many different things that could happen. We just gotta, and that's the beauty of this sport, right? Like that's the beauty of championship week. Beauty of coming down to the wire. There's so many things. I mean, even if you look at CFP as it stands now, there's still teams that got to play each other. And that's going to decide some seeding, right, at the top of that bracket. So, lot to be said, lot to discuss, lots of opinions, right? Including ours, which may or may not hold any weight. Who cares? We're giving them anyway. And we'll just see how this thing plays out.
Yeah. And to note, just in case the Navy aspect comes into play, the Army-Navy game won't matter for anything. They've already said the CFP that they will make their decision, their seedings, everything will even, I think, come out before that game is even played. They do not wait on Army-Navy to play that game. So whatever Navy and chance they've got to do whatever they're going to do will be done after this next 2 weeks because Army-Navy's 3 weeks away. But just an interesting aspect, because I've seen some people say, well, we might have to wait till the Army-Navy. No, we don't have to wait. We'll know after championship weekend what's going to transpire. The bad part is if JMU gets all the way there victorious, they win the next 2 games, they still won't know. They won't know until the championship game of the American is played for sure what their fate is. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Warren saying if top 10 have losses, that would help JMU. I mean, there was a shot at one point in time where the ACC looked like they could be on the outside looking in because they could have taken the top 5 rated conference champions. It does not have to be from the power conferences. So the American or the Sun Belt could have been looked at as one of the top 5 conference champions. But now with what the CFP just did, they've made it so that the ACC is ensured a team into the playoff. So their champion is going to be – that's what they told you by how they ranked the team. So, again, they're stacking the bricks against the Sun Belt. That's what my point of my post – I don't know if you saw that one, TJ. I said justice for JMU. I put a big post out.
Oh, yeah.
Not even every metric. I did it. And I know, look, if you're a Sun Belt fan and you hate JMU, good. That's what we want. That's what makes this fun. But at the same time, I need you to understand if you're crapping on the resume of JMU, you're doing it to the whole conference, and that's the problem, right? Because everybody else is doing the same. They're not valuing what goes on here. And over the last 2 seasons, and I can get Herb Bros to loop in on this with what he's found out. Statistically speaking, from top to bottom, the Sun Belt has been the best group of 5 or group of 6 conference. Past 2 seasons. Now, they're probably not going to be this year, okay? But the last 2 before this, they were better than the American. So this rhetoric that the American is, on a pedestal here and Sun Belt somewhere lower is just not true. Now, this year, do they have more quality teams at the very top? Sure, I'm not going to argue that. But I do think our best team is just as good as any of their best teams. And that's the problem with where the CFP has put them, is that they've really got no shot unless other teams ahead of them lose. Like, they don't have a shot to improve what they've already done. And that kind of sucks, because I think not losing by 20 plus points, which both North Texas and Tulane have done to conference members, is just, it should be weighted a little bit more. Sure, they play.
Yeah, it should matter. It should absolutely matter.
But yeah, there's my little ending spiel for the day, going off a little bit.
We love it.
And the reason I'm doing that is because, like, if App State was in this position, I'd be damn pissed off and wanting to fight for my team as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go ahead
100%.
and do it for James Madison, because I feel like we're kind of in the same position, right? Like, no one values us as much as they should. It's not a JMU problem. It's a Sun Belt problem. Right. If we don't start bringing eyes, ears, and attention to it, it's going to exist for any of us when we get into this position. So, again, the easiest position is a Sun Belt team go undefeated. We'd be ranked above every other group of whatever, and it wouldn't be an issue. But right now, 1 loss seems like it's holding us back, which kind of seems comical to me. But it is what it is. We'll see if craziness can ensue as TJ and I went over. Any last news or notes before we get out of here and say goodbye to the people, man?
No, just another good show. Thankful for everybody who listens and pays attention and cares about what we say. We care about you as well. Yeah.
And from us and our families, have a good and safe Thanksgiving. Don't deep fry any turkeys if you don't have any experience at it. TJ, do you deep fry turkeys, or you stay away from it?
I do. I'm not tomorrow, but yeah, don't do it if you don't know.
I saw a clip of somebody doing it inside their house, and they did it successfully, but not a chance I'm taking. Not in the house. Never.
Not even close.
But yeah, TJ's probably going to share some really, really awesome pictures of whatever he ends up doing for tomorrow. So be sure to follow him and check him out. Thick thighs and large fries still. Is that where you're going to put up the pictures? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, check it out and check out these Sun Belt games over the weekend, and we'll see you back for the wrap-up show. Thanks for tuning in.